Many people think that a passionate commitment to discipleship really doesn't apply to them. Like Moses, we often try to make excuses about our value or our abilities. Like Jonah, we try to wiggle out of it, presuming the job really is better suited to someone else. It may be a type of insecurity. We really like to use that excuse a lot. If you feel you don't have what it takes to be the type of disciple that I'm talking about, then consider this. Who has God typically called into his service? Moses, a stuttering fugitive from the law? David, a skinny shepherd boy? Ruth, an alien and a former pagan priestess? Peter, a stubborn, uneducated fisherman? Paul, an arrogant former murderer of Christians? Augustine, a self-absorbed sensualist and playboy? Monica, a widow and worried mother? Francis, a slightly off-center beggar? Joan, a young girl who heard voices in her head? Dorothy, a former bohemian with a passion for the poor? Teresa, a bent-over little nun in a foreign country? Carol, a simple Polish priest? Jesus wants disciples who are limited because he uses them to bring glory to the Father. The fact is that none of us are worthy of being followers of Jesus, and none of us have what it takes to be a true disciple of Jesus. If we were, then would we really need Jesus? See, the real question shouldn't be whether you are organized, confident, educated, skilled, or a polished speaker. The real question is, do you need Jesus? I say this to you with all conviction that I can muster within. Look at me. What am I? The truth be told, I am a worthless sinner. I am full of myself. I am stubborn. I'm impatient. I'm ungrateful. Why would God ever want someone as flawed and limited as Sammie Maletta in his service? Did you know that when I was in grade school, I had a speech defect? Did you know that when I was admitted to college, I was reading on a 5th grade level? Did you know that I could not read in front of people, let alone speak in front of people, without getting sick to my stomach? Did you know that I'm dyslexic? The words and numbers kind of float around on a page in front of me? Did you know that I have been diagnosed as having adult deficit disorder, and it's extremely hard for me to focus? Did you know that my parents were at their wits' end when I was around 12 and seriously considered putting me into a military school because I was so badly behaved? Did you know that I spent most of my junior high years in the principal's office? I was constantly being kicked out of class. Do you know that I used people, especially girls, to make myself look cool to my classmates? Did you know that Bishop Gritka told my father that I did not have what it takes to be a priest? Did you know that my first spiritual director at the seminary reported to the rector that I was inadequate material for the priesthood? He also said I had a face like a horse. I could go on, yet I get up regularly and I speak to groups of people. I hold more degrees than any priest in this diocese, many of them with honors or high honors. I have held, or at various times, all the highest offices in the diocese except bishop. How is that possible? Not by my strength or power, but by God's grace. God gets a kick out of remaking people to better reflect his image, taking the weak and making them strong. The late Father Pat Conley used to tell priests who experienced much success in the priesthood and let it get to their heads and were considering leaving the priesthood because they weren't being treated as well as they thought they should be with all their great gifts. Father Pat would say to them, "Don't you know that the church has made you who you are?" Those priests who thought they were so important and ended up leaving because they felt they weren't getting what they should get, let their glory go to their heads. Well, no one's heard of them ever since. Their glory, their success, their giftedness was not their own. It was graced to them by God for a purpose, and that purpose has absolutely nothing to do with the individual man. You see, their glory ended when they walked away from the ordination promises. It was never their glory that made them special. It was God's glory. So, my friends, if God can take someone like me and allow him to do something beautiful for God, what can he do with you if you let him? Be a disciple who makes disciples.